Hi, I'm Brad Phillips, President of Phillips Media Relations and author of the Mr. Media Training blog. And in this video media training tip, I'm going to talk about 3 different formats of television interviews, each of which requires you to direct your eye contact someplace slightly different. So you will learn by the end of this video where to direct your eye contact when you do a television interview. Now, the first format you might encounter is the easiest, the onset interview. Imagine it's a morning show, there's a couple of chairs set up, the host is here, you're here, all you have to do is look at the host. It's pretty self-evident, pretty easy format. If it's more than just you and the host, let's say it's a panel discussion and there's 3 or 4 people there, just direct your eye contact at whoever's doing the talking. Again, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. The only tricky part of an onset interview is there are often distractions happening in the background. There might be a camera crew back here as you're trying to talk to the host, moving around a lot. There might be a floor director who's signaling to the host, 2 minutes left. And when you see that signal, that can be distracting to you. Just try to keep your focus and your energy on the reporter or whoever's doing the talking on the set, and you'll be fine with that format, the easiest of the 3. The second format is a bytes interview. Now, you see bytes interviews or sound bites interviews on the news all the time. Usually for this one, the eye contact is directed slightly off camera. Usually where I'm looking now is at a reporter or at a producer who's standing slightly off camera. There are technical reasons why news organizations sometimes like to do bytes interviews so that the person's not looking directly into the camera. This is a pretty typical format, again, because you're looking at an actual person, not a terribly difficult format. But the caveat to this one is that people can't resist the tendency of doing this as they're doing a bytes interview. They'll talk to the reporter and then they suddenly want to jerk and look to the lens of the camera. That's extremely jarring. So pretend that that lens over here doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is the producer slightly off camera. That's where you direct your eye contact. So that's the second format, a bytes interview. The third format is this one, looking straight into the camera. You'll see this if, let's say, a host is in Los Angeles and you as the guest are in Washington, D.C. And you see this on TV a lot. You'll see a split screen, a 2-box, with the host in L.A. here, you as the guest in D.C. here, so you see both people up on the screen. This is a really tough format. In fact, Scott Pelley, who's the fairly new anchor of CBS Evening News, said that when he took over the CBS Evening News, one of the most difficult things for him was learning how to forge a real, genuine connection with the lens. Keith Olbermann, who was an anchor on MSNBC for many years, said that he almost, when he looked into the lens, wanted to go a few layers back into the lens to forge a really direct relationship with the viewer. It's very hard to do that. There's a reason that both Pelley and Olbermann talk about that, because it's a real skill set to develop. Few of my clients who have had a tough time looking directly in the lens have come up with some options. A few will just imagine an actual person that they're talking to, their mother perhaps, or a colleague, and when they look in the lens, they try to just have an everyday conversation with the same tone that they would that person. Some people have even drawn a little smiley face on a Post-it note and taped it just beneath the lens. To the camera, when you look just beneath the lens at a Post-it note, it looks pretty much like you're looking directly into it. If you have a straight-to-camera interview coming up where you have to look directly into the lens, try practicing. If you don't have a camera, try practicing with a spot on the wall. Paint a bullseye. Stare into that bullseye and try to have a real conversation with the person. If the conversation sounds artificial to you, have an actual conversation with somebody who's standing just off camera for a minute. Hey, how you doing? What's been happening with your day? And then turn to the camera and just keep talking with that exact tone. If your tone doesn't change when you make the switch from the real person here to the camera, then it may not sound as artificial to you. So those are the 3 different formats of television and where you can direct your eye contact. Again, to sum up, the 3 types are onset interviews, bytes interviews, and straight-to-camera interviews. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you enjoyed them, please become a regular visitor to our blog. You can find it at mrmediatraining.com. That's mrmediatraining.com. Thank you very much for watching.